Hello, everybody. Welcome to On Screen, Off Screen. This is our first episode this week. I'm very interested in what Conlon has to talk about, so we'll start with you. What's your topic for us?
Okay, so my wife's friend was over this weekend and they watched a bunch of chick flicks and they dragged me along to watch some of them. And one of them was Bride and Prejudiced. Prejudice. Um this show
What's
is
the title
ridiculous.
again? Not Pride
Bri-
and Prejudice.
Bride and Prejudice.
Okay.
It is a Bollywood musical version of Pride and Prejudice, and it is so Bollywood that you think it is a parody. Like you don't think they actually mean to have it be this Bollywood, but like they translate from Hindu over to English, so some of the songs seem really weird and like they don't work. Um you have all the colors all over the place. To me it's like if you took a Indian bride's fantasy and then you had her take shrooms and this was the dream that she had while she was tripping. Like that's how I felt this movie was. Saying that, it is trippy, it is cheesy. Um some of the songs are ridiculous, some of the songs are pretty good. The acting is decent. It follows the Pride and Prejudice story, so if you like that story, you'll probably like that. If you like the hallmarky kind of cheese, you probably will enjoy this movie. It's enjoyable enough, is what I would call it. Is this my favorite movie of all time? No. No, it's not. There's one part that's the song is called No Life Without Wife. And the sisters just go around doing their Indian dances. They go, No life without wife. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous show. Um, but I can understand why people would find it enjoyable if the corniness and ridiculousness works for you.
So here's my first question.
Yes,
What possessed you guys to watch it?
they love it. They think it is hilarious. They love this show. And they got to one part and they said that's the best part of the movie. And I said, really? That's the best part of the movie? Okay, okay. But they love it, so I decided to give it a shot. And it's not like it's really not terrible. It's not a terrible movie. It is nothing I would ever choose to watch again. And I like some romance movies, but it's not terrible.
Is it your favorite Pride and Prejudice movie?
No, not at all.
What
The
is
Pride
it?
and Prejudice and Zombies is by far the best one. By far.
Okay. So where does this one rank?
Um, probably under the Keira Knightley one, which is also like a decent movie. It's not one that I choose, but if Sid wanted to watch it, I'd watch it. Like it's not terrible. They wanted to watch that 6 hour one that you hate, and I was like,
Oh,
no, I'm not watching that. No, I won't. I'm not
it's
doing
only
it.
4 hours, even though it feels like 6. You should give it
Oh,
a
okay.
try. You should give
Yeah,
it a
no,
try, Conlon. You should
not
try
doing
it.
that one.
Yeah.
Nope.
I sat through it. The least you could do is sit through it.
No, actually, her friend talked about watching that one in college and how there was this one guy who had a crush on one of the girls that was watching it in their dorm, and he sat and watched the entire thing, and all the other guys left, and they came back and like, dude, why are you still here? What are you doing? And he just has this look of like pure death on his face, and everybody looks at him and just starts laughing. Oh, that was so funny.
That is an accurate reaction to that one. For anybody who's not included, this is the time travel one, where the one girl goes into the Pride and Prejudice world, and the Pride and Prejudice girl goes out into the real world. That's the one we're talking about. It's made by the BBC. It's a TV movie, and it's like 4.5 hours long. And it feels like it's 12 hours, and it's mind numbingly, achingly terrible.
Yeah, I will never watch it. Ever. I won't watch that movie.
Just give it
Do
a
you
try.
hate the Keira Knightley one too? I don't think the Keira Knightley one's terrible. I think it's fine. It's a fine movie.
I do hate it, but mostly because
Okay,
it's like 3.5 hours when it should be like two.
like two. It's just overly long. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's a
I've
it's a
only
movie that you
seen it
watch and
once.
you go, wow, that feels long.
feels long.
and not like the time travel one where you just like want to die the whole time.
Where you're like, how is it? How does it feel this long? This shouldn't even be possible.
Yeah, this one's more like I'm watching it. Okay, we should be coming to the end, and then like 3 hours pass, and you're like, what the heck? Yeah, it's I'm not a fan of like any Pride and Prejudice. I haven't seen Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
That one's
I think
it's fun. It's a fun movie. It's worth watching.
my my favorite Pride and Prejudice is Austin Land,
That one's good.
and
That's a good
that's
movie.
because it takes the Princess Bride approach of just making fun of the original content rather than actually indulging it.
Yeah,
So
it's just a parody of all Jane Austen stuff. It's a good movie. Austen Land's an enjoyable movie.
yeah.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is worth watching. Like that one and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer are both ridiculous, but they're like supposed to be, and they're a lot of fun.
I can do ridiculous. I'm actually a I really enjoyed Warm Bodies.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, like ridiculous is not a big thing for me, but
But gruelingly awful, just drama for drama's sake that's ridiculous is not your thing.
it's not even that. That's not what I hate about Pride and Prejudice. I watch 911.
Oh yeah,
I
that's true.
watch these garbage soap operas. The
It just feels
problem
too
is
long, or what is it?
they're not actual drama. They're talking about drama. It's women sitting in a circle talking about the possibility of drama for 3 hours. That is
That
those movies. That's why I hate them so much. Is there's nothing happening. Oh look, they're sitting and knitting and talking about the boys. And now they're walking through the garden talking about the boys. And now they're walking and now they're in a carriage and talking about the same freaking thing again. That's what I hate about Pride and Prejudice.
and they go through the same topics over and over again, and then they have to make up topics to have the drama that aren't even really happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible. You're right. That's terrible.
So yeah, I'm not a big Pride. I'm not the target audience, obviously, but
Mhm.
I don't get it. I don't understand. I watched like half an hour of Little Women once, and I was like, yeah, this is the same thing. I'm not going to do this.
Little Women is worse to me, especially the new one. The new one is one of the worst. It's not good. It's a bad movie. I don't understand why people like it.
I haven't seen either of them, but like, yeah, I'm just not a big fan of it. So what would you rate Bride and Prejudice on a scale of 1 to 10?
6. It's not a terrible movie. It's I had some parts that I kind of had fun with. There are parts of it where I was like, okay, but not terrible. It's okay. If you There are certain groups of people that I can understand why you would really like this movie. I can get it. It's very much like it's very much of the time. It's an early 2000 movie, and it feels like Step Up type of thing, the musical with Bollywood vibes all the way through. Like that's kind of what you have. And if you like that time period and you're cool with the cheese, this movie could work for you.
Okay. I will not be watching that one, but
It's
kudos to
not
you
one
for
I would
sitting
recommend to
through
you.
it.
Yeah,
I
not
will not watch that one.
don't watch it. I don't think I would not recommend this to you at all. This is not the movie I would recommend to you. Unless you are in a mood where you just want to laugh at some ridiculous crap. But there's other movies that I would recommend over this for that.
Pride and
Like
Prejudice and Zombies.
Pride and Prejudice Zombies and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Okay. With that being said, we'll go ahead and jump on over to my topic because I think
Sounds
you're
good.
very excited to hear my thoughts on Split Fiction,
I am.
the game. Playing with Lauren, we beat it in a little over 10 hours. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
that's it.
It is not better than It Takes Two in any way.
Okay. Even I thought some of the puzzles you would like better than It Takes Two.
Nope. It Takes Two did those same puzzles but better. Uh,
Okay.
here's what I think is really cool about It Takes Two is like even though I think that the story plot has plans and I think Split Fiction has plot issues too, which we can talk about.
So
Um,
do I.
uh, It Takes Two, I could play with Sydney, for example, your wife,
Yeah.
and if we played through it and she said like, "Hey, I really enjoyed this section," I could be
Mhm.
like, "Okay, great. I have a game for you to play."
Cool.
Right. So there's in It Takes Two, it does the top down wizard knight kind of fighting section, right? Where
Yeah.
you're doing the puzzles, right? So if somebody said, "Hey, I really like that section," I'd be like, "Path of Exile, uh, all of
Diablo.
Diablo, um, whatever the I can't think of it. We really liked it. Grim Dawn,
Grim Dawn.
you know,
Titan Quest. Whatever.
boom, love those. Oh, hey, I really liked that first-person shooter section. Okay, great, we can play Halo together. Um, you could try out the Call of Duty, right? It
Yeah.
does that kind of a thing. In Split Fiction, it does more specific games.
Yes, it's very
So
much a
if it was
call out
like,
to specific games.
yeah, so if it's like, oh, hey, I really liked this one specific part of the level, I could be like, okay, well, that's a call out to this game, but they don't really play the same, so maybe you like it, maybe not. I mean, my honest favorite part of Split Fiction was the Dark Souls resting at the bonfire. I'm not sure if you found that or not.
Yeah, it was cool.
But I was like, oh, heck yeah. Total great payoff for this stupid little side area that I just explored and forced Lauren to stop the main quest to come and do. Um, you're absolutely right. Like, It Takes Two does a better job of building a world where you get rewarded for doing all this exploration and playing games over here and doing this, that, and the other. And I think that actually makes the game itself, like story wise, even better. Whereas this one, it's a lot more linear. You get the side quests, and the side quests are all mostly extremely disturbing. And yeah, so Split
Hmm.
Fiction is a game that doesn't make any sense plot wise.
Okay. I kind of agree too. Tell me why.
So let's talk about the grander plot, right? You have two girls versus the big bad guy, and the big
Yeah.
bad guy loves his machine because he can siphon stories out of it, and he's going to
Yep.
steal their ideas and publish them.
And train the machine to be able to handle creativity. So he just is in charge of creativity. Yeah.
Yeah. Except if you had that machine, it would be worth financially about 1,000 times more than all the ideas you could siphon out of it.
But I think the idea of the story is that it's kind of an AI type of a thing. You're training the AI to be able to handle the creativity, and then it can create stories and stuff from now on, write books, and you don't need authors anymore. It's just a commentary on AI.
Right? But the machine is still worth more than all of the ideas it can steal or come up with on its own.
That's true.
How many
That's true.
people would pay to go sit in that machine and pretend they're Batman?
So many.
How many would pay to go and like pretend they're dating Emma Stone?
A lot.
Like
A lot.
the machine itself is already worth so much more than those ideas and books and publishing would get you. You don't need to steal ideas. Like the stealing ideas is not a real incentive because you already have the thing.
And even if you did need to do that, you could get authors and you could pay them a huge amount of money because investors would absolutely do this to quote unquote steal their ideas. And you would have a lot of authors who just did it. If that's really what you needed, a lot of authors
You
would just do
wouldn't
it.
have to because like let's say Conlon, you are I am big bad guy. I have
Yeah.
machine.
Okay.
Conlon, I say, hey, we can't just do any story, which it's not the case. You can do any story in this game, but you can't do any story. Conlon, you yourself have to write the story. Are you going to write whatever story you want to experience?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you're paying me to do it.
You're right. You are correct. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's talk about the girl story, right? You have girl A, which is Rachel Zegler esque, and she's like, hey, I have some issues because my dad's dying, and that makes me really sad, and I'm pretty angry at the world.
Yeah.
And then you have really irritating character who just does irritating things for sake of being irritating. And she's like, hi guys, my issue is I killed my twin sister. So like they're way out of balance, um, like individual story wise, and Rachel Zegler esque character. Her quest is to defeat her inner anger,
Mhm.
and that was a really cool sequence. Actually,
It's
I
so
really
cool.
liked that fight. I really liked the build up to it. It all made sense.
It's awesome.
Whereas the other one, it's like, yeah, grief. And it's still entirely vague whether or not she killed her sister or her sister just happened to die.
It seemed like it was an accident that she blamed herself for. That seemed pretty clear to me, but maybe I read it wrong.
They definitely like do that. They say that. But if you hypothetically killed your twin sister by say pushing her into the water,
It's a
and
very
this
different.
is so deep, dark, twisted part of you hid this away from yourself, are you gonna like remember and acknowledge that you pushed her first? Or are you gonna be focused on the fact that you didn't save her? You know, like that's just how I feel about it. Is like one was like very basic and predictable, but had some cool game sequences. The other was like this very deep, intricate issue that they kind of just brush over.
Okay. So then neither of them are actually satisfying. Neither side
Yeah.
is.
And like the irritating character, her ultimate thing is like, okay, I can't have my twin sister back, but I can replace her with this other person I just met.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. That is something I noticed, and I didn't like that either.
I was like, what are you're telling people to just like, oh, okay, I'm sorry your grandma died. Go get a new grandma. That's the message you just told. That is not a healthy thing to do. It is not healthy to be like, hey, I'm missing this from my life. Replace it with somebody else. That's not a good
But
message. It's not
I
healthy.
I agree with that. I didn't like that message either. I do think they do a good job of having her like forgive herself and having the twin sister show up. I thought that was well done. But I don't
It
like the
was well
message
done.
of just replacing her either. Oh, that's
Right.
not good.
It was well done. That sequence where uh I was playing the Rachel Zegler esque character and I was carrying the light through the heart,
Yeah.
right? Lauren, who I was playing with it, was like, that part gave me chills with the music and everything else that was going on and the light and the figure coming at her was like that was an emotional moment and I get it. That was a very cool, epic, like
Yeah.
emotional moment. My problem with it is like this game feels like they scripted, okay, here's a puzzle section, here's a puzzle section, brief story in between, puzzles, emotion, rather than like in It Takes Two, where they have this banter going on while you're doing puzzles that build the relationship throughout.
It feels more real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. 100%. Um, I didn't like, and I didn't buy into the relationship nearly as much. you don't have that much time for it, and it feels kind of like forced that they both have these major traumas that they happen to be going through. Like for the story's sake, I didn't like the two strangers become friends nearly as much. It wasn't nearly as compelling as a husband and wife that are trying to rekindle their marriage. That's much more interesting, in my opinion. I think having them know each other or having them be competitors or some kind of connection there instead of just strangers would have been more compelling for the story.
They should have been rival things.
Yeah, that would have been great.
They should have like it should have been like I can't believe you got published in that like over me. My writing was better.
Yeah,
Like they should have gone to university together
that would
and
have been
been
so
bitter about
interesting.
different grades. Like, oh, you only got an A in that class because that teacher liked fantasy and not as much sci-fi. My writing was actually better. And then we should have experienced those stories.
And then
This
at the
is the
very
one I got
beginning,
an A on, you know.
it could have been like it could have even been a stupid cat fight. You think you're writing so much better than mine? You're completely stupid bitch. Whatever you wanted to do, and they like tackle and fight each other and end up in the ball. That would have been much
Yeah,
more interesting.
absolutely.
And actually, could have been really cool if you had a scene at the beginning where you are kind of do the opposite of the Get Out game, where at the end of the game you're killing each other. You start off the game by attacking each other, and you realize you can't kill the other person. Like that would have been
Yeah,
cool. That would have been
that would
cool.
have been great. And you could have cut the bad evil man with the machine storyline entirely. His story could have been like the machine is malfunctioning. We need to try and save it, and that be it.
That would have been interesting.
He didn't need to be evil man. He could have been like, this is abnormal. This is wrong. We need to figure out how to safely get these people out of here.
Yeah, and the machine itself could be malfunctioning because of these two people, and the machine is trying to shut them down. And you have to replace the guy just with the machine. That would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been way more compelling. It would have, like, they could have added like 6 hours of gameplay based on that new kind of plot we just told. Um,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of how I feel about Split Fiction. You specifically wanted to know my thoughts on the pinball section.
Yes, I thought it was sick. I thought you would love it. Genuinely, I thought you would love it.
It was pretty cool. I think I'm not sure. Like, it's possible that your comments on it changed my expectations for it, but I found it more irritating than I found it fun.
Oh, that's too bad. I genuinely thought you were gonna have a really good time with that. I thought it was so cool.
It was
So
kind of
cool.
cool, but I can't say like in It Takes Two, like if you liked that section, play pinball because that's nothing like pinball.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's completely different. I liked the gameplay aspect of that one. I liked that section. I liked the part where you have the two claw things, the like centipede things.
No, that was disturbing. That whole section was extremely disturbing.
Oh, I liked the centipede things. I thought that was a cool little puzzle.
The
I like,
irritating girl really needs to go to therapy. When at the end of that, when it reveals that that was her parents, I was like, therapy. Go to therapy, lady. You need serious therapy. And I said it so abruptly and so suddenly while looking at these freaky things that Lauren got scared because I was like, therapy. I just, therapy. And she was
that's funny. I completely agree. She needs therapy. I liked the gameplay aspects of that section a lot. Actually, I liked it a lot.
I
Um,
found all of her side quests extremely disturbing.
really, all of them.
Yeah, pretty much. The
Okay,
only one I didn't find disturbing was the kite one.
I liked the kite one too. I
Kite
liked
one was
most
a
of the
lot of
side
fun.
quests. I thought the side quests were cool.
I
I really liked
found
the side quests actually.
all of hers disturbing, and I found one of the Rachel Zengler's ones disturbing, and that's the
The
one with
dentist
like the
one.
teeth. Yeah,
Yeah, I love the dentist one, but I didn't think you would like it. But I thought the dentist one was awesome.
it was very creative and very interesting. That was like way over the line disturbing. Like up until
Oh,
that point, I was like, I could see like 10-year-olds playing this game,
but
and
then
then
there's that
that
one that's
happens,
like
and you're like, oh
traumatizing.
no,
I
be an
thought it was
adult for this
so
game,
good.
but
I thought
only
it
for
was
that
so
section.
good. Um, yeah, I liked most of the side quests. I thought the Sun Supernova one, I think I said that last time, was really
Yeah,
cool. I
it
was a
was
big fan
interesting.
of that one. I liked a lot of hers. I'm trying to think of what other side quests I liked a lot. I liked the ogre one. I thought the ogre one was really cool. Um, what other ones did I really like?
Clearly, they're
Um,
not that memorable. I just remember, like every time irritating characters was happening, it was extremely disturbing.
oh, the train heist was awesome.
That was the fun one.
That was really cool.
If
There was
only
just a lot.
Lauren wasn't driving for it.
Wasn't what?
Driving,
Oh,
I was shooting.
cool. I thought I really liked a lot of them. Oh, and my favorite one was the Notebook. I thought the Notebook was great.
Oh, with the hand drawing, that was extremely
Yes,
creative. That was my favorite one.
that one was so good. That one was so good. Um, And then my the last thing we should talk about is the end of the game. Maybe it didn't blow your mind as much as I did, but literally the entire time I was like, "How the hell did they pull this off? This is so cool." The part where I like fantasy and I like sci-fi. I always have, and I think they don't merge together very well. And it's cool that they were able to do it so well. I love the same screen and you like split between the two different as you're sliding down. You split between the fantasy and the sci-fi, and you have to swing over on both sides. Thought that was really cool. And the part where you are up isometric and you have to move over to the side and it like literally shifts the landscape, I thought was so cool. Like so cool.
I'm torn. So there's the part where you're sliding, which is very cool.
Yeah.
There's the part where the the half screen line moves was
Yes.
terrible.
Oh, I thought that was so cool.
No,
Like
super
so
dumb,
cool.
so frustrating, super irritating.
Really, I had so
Yeah,
much fun with that section. I loved it. Like legitimately was geeking out about how cool I thought that was.
no, the line should not have moved. The line moving was just awful. Um, I wish that there was more puzzles in that section. Um, like we talked about Bakura and how cool it is that like you can have different views.
Yeah.
And this game did it and did it better, but I wish you had more of it because that was extremely cool. Um,
So cool.
I really loved the section where one player is in the TV and the other player is stomping on the TV.
Sick. It's awesome.
The tilting one I didn't love as much, but it was still super clever and cool. I think
I thought that one
separating
was
the
cool too.
characters into the different worlds, like specifically where it happened at the beginning, where you're in the same place and you can talk to each other, you can't see each other, and you see different things, was the coolest part. And there should have
That
been
part was
more of
awesome
that
too.
in the game.
Like they had that, they had the line split where you're both sliding. I loved the line down the middle thing. I thought that was so cool. The TV stomping was cool. I loved the end of this game. I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it.
I'm glad you did. If the half line didn't move, I wouldn't have minded it so much, but it was extremely irritating.
Maybe what was it harder because you weren't sitting right next to somebody? Because I was sitting next to Sid, and I was just, this is so cool. How did they do this? Literally the entire time, I was saying out loud, "How did they do this? This is so cool."
They just styled it. It's not like that unbelievably
I've just never seen anything
technologically
quite like
hard.
that. They have like two games mapped on top of each other. Is how they were doing it. I watched an interview with the creator, and it's really cool. I've just never played anything like that ever.
It is cool. But the fact that the half line moves is extremely irritating.
I mean, that's part of the puzzle. That's part of what I thought was cool about it.
No,
Because
it makes
literally I
it
had to like
incredibly difficult to
walk
figure
around Sid
out.
so that she could do it. So cool.
It was incredibly difficult because of the skill difference between Lauren and I, where I am at the top of the screen
Hmm.
and getting 90% of the view, and she's wanting to see where she's going to land. She knows that that's where she's supposed to jump, but she's not jumping there until she can see it. So you have to. It was super irritating. It
I,
like motion sick wise, it triggered me that way. Like it was
dude,
nauseating.
I'm sorry that was your experience with it because literally I was so excited for you to play that section because I thought it was so cool.
No. I love it before and after the split screen thing.
But the split screen thing just didn't work
This
for you.
was split screen is fine, but when it started rotating, when the
Ju-
halfway line started moving,
Just didn't work
I
for you.
just hated that part. And Lauren hated it too.
That's too bad. That's too bad because I loved it.
It
Anyway, so with Split Fiction, you sound kind of mixed on it. What is your rating of the game?
5.5 out of 10.
Oh, that low. Wow. That's too bad, man.
You called it a must play, and I just could not disagree with more.
Oh,
I
yeah.
put It Takes Two way above this one in the must play section.
I think It Takes Two is a better game. I do, like I said last week, but there's just a lot of things that I really did like in this game a lot.
There's a lot that I liked too. There's also a lot that I didn't like, and there's a lot of things I found like disturbing. Like I cannot
Okay.
emphasize that enough. I found it extremely disturbing that you run through an entire level going, I'm a pig that poops and I'm a pig that splits in half, and you get to the end and you grind yourself up and make yourself into hot dogs.
Oh, I thought that was hilarious.
That was disturbing. That is the
Okay.
word to use. It was disturbing.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious. That did not disturb me. Maybe I'm twisted. I don't know.
Well, you are twisted. We're all twisted in some weird way. And I get that that's what they were going for, but like honestly, put yourself in 10-year-old view. You have pseudo nieces that are about that age. Would you want
Yeah,
them to experience that? Especially with how abrupt and unplanned it felt.
that's a good point. I
Like,
think 10-year-old maybe be fine. Much younger than that now.
I don't think 10-year-old would be fine. I think you're grossly exaggerating the maturity of a 10-year-old.
I'd be like seven. Seven is where I'd probably cut that line, but I don't know for sure.
It's, I just, there's so many in it. Like, the pigs thing was kind of like, this is a little weird, right? I didn't love that the pig split in half to begin with. I kind of had a lot of fun with the farting pig. But then you just like, oh, and the ground up, and now you're hot dogs. And now you have to cook yourself and then add hot dog and or ketchup and mustard and then put yourself on a bun. That is so disturbing.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have a problem with it at all. Did Lauren have a problem with that one?
We didn't talk about that one specifically afterward. I don't remember what she said in the moment, but she agreed with me that most of the irritating girls ones were disturbing.
She needs therapy.
Yeah,
Yeah, Sid actually liked the hot dog one too. Maybe we're both just disturbed. I don't know. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. The only one that I felt like was traumatizing was the dentist one, which I loved, but that one was disturbing. Absolutely.
the centipede one. How can you not say that one's disturbing? I get that you liked the level design and you found it really creative puzzle wise.
The fact that it was their parents is disturbing. That piece is disturbing. You're right.
Like I feel like that's whole her whole character was like, we're gonna have
Disturbed.
this like kind of fun thing, and then make it extremely disturbing, ruining the entire ending
Okay.
at the end. Except for the centipede one was pretty disturbing most of the way through, and the
I
dentist one
really,
was pretty disturbing, and yeah,
yeah, I didn't have that bug me as much as it bugged you.
it
Nice
really,
girl who's
really
going through a
bothered me.
lot of trauma and pretending the trauma isn't real. Like that does happen.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean make your parents centipedes tied together at the hip. Nowhere does it say do that.
That's true. That's true. Dude, I'm sorry that you didn't like it as much as I did.
It was a fine game. I'm not unhappy that I played it, but like at the end of the day, right? Even though I have problems with It Takes Two, I'm still
Yeah,
going to say newbies, you should play that game because you can tell me what section you liked and I can give you more games to play.
yeah.
Split Fiction had a pinball section that I wouldn't recommend pinball for.
But it's I don't think you necessarily have to recommend a game from it. Like just the puzzle is cool and just the level design is cool and the gameplay is cool. It's just cool.
I disagree with that part. Like
Okay.
it was like it wasn't pinball. And I'm not saying it needed to be pinball,
Yeah.
right? I'm saying it's cool that It Takes Two. I can do that. It's like a bonus,
That
right?
is a
It's
cool thing.
great that
Yeah.
you can do it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it needs to be that way in this kind of a game, but like when I'm talking about recommending it, I'm going to recommend It Takes Two because this one does have that one and this one doesn't.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That's what I'm saying.
I liked it more than you, obviously. There were a couple parts that I loved. There were a couple parts that I didn't like as much. The part where they're fighting the robots and it becomes a side scroller. Sid really, really struggled with that one. And that was the only time in any of either of these games where I felt like frustrated because I was like, it's just shoot the bubble. I'll kill the thing. I don't even care. Just shoot the bubble. I can't shoot the bubble. I need you to shoot the bubble. Shoot the bubble. And that was a negative part for me. I liked what they were going for there. I think the Metroid thing and trying to honor that game was cool. That was the one part that didn't feel implemented very well. Other than that, I really liked a lot of the puzzles that were in the game. I liked the creativity. I liked some of the side stories. Not as good as It Takes Two, not as full as It Takes Two, but for me, still a must play because of all the puzzles I thought that were so cool, including the pinball one, which I am so sad you didn't like as much as I was hoping.
I think everything you're saying is pretty much correct. Some of the
Okay.
puzzles were really cool, but it's
Yeah.
torn down by other things that aren't great.
And those negatives barely or the positives barely outweigh the negatives
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. Like,
Okay.
can I recommend this game to anybody? There's nobody I would recommend this game to. Nobody.
Really, no one.
No one.
Even if somebody loved It Takes Two, you wouldn't be like, Split Fiction's good. You're gonna enjoy it.
Would I recommend this one or A Way Out more? I'd recommend A Way Out,
Okay.
right? Because A Way Out is like 6 hours,
Yeah.
so it's a lot more to the point. We played it in one shot. Most people probably two, right? It doesn't take as big of a commitment. Its puzzles are all still really cool. It's predictable story, but there's no like glaring plot issues that I can point at. Um, it was pretty fun. It was creative. I wish there was more of the breaking out of prison part of it, but that's fine, you know. Whereas Split Fiction, it's like, okay, I found parts of it extremely disturbing. So if you're a horror fan, but also a lot of it is kind of like very beginner friendly. So you also need to be okay with that or new to games. Uh, there's parts of it like you found that section extremely frustrating because you had to rely on the other player and the other player wasn't as good at games. I found that frequently throughout the game.
Oh, really?
And not because Lauren is a bad gamer. Lauren is great. She's good at games. It's not that. It's that like I have put thousands of hours into games and she's put a few hundred excluding Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, and The Sims. So like I was always at the very top of the screen waiting. I was always waiting for her to figure stuff out. Like there was a part where it was like, I'm gonna get up and go grab a snack while you figure your part out. I straight up said that. And all
Wow.
she had to do was wall run and then jump. It's the part where the you have to jump onto the buses and she like
Oh, yeah.
couldn't figure out that you had to wall run and then jump. So I was like, I'm gonna go grab a snack because I'm starving, and this is an opportunity for me to go do that.
Interesting.
Right?
Fair enough. Like that would be frustrating if you just felt like you had to wait all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that was your experience, man. For me, some of the like if it was just the cool aspects of this game, it'd probably get a 7 just by some of the cool like the pinball, the laser obstacle course thing, freaking cool. The centipede
That was great.
thing. You didn't like the laser obstacle course?
No.
Oh, I thought it was so cool. I loved it. Um, there's quite a few that I just really really liked.
And like that's totally fine. I get it. There's a lot of
Yeah,
puzzles I thought were really creative and cool too.
yeah.
At the end of the day, though, I felt like this game was a little bit rushed. Like they were trying to put it out. They should have thought through things a little bit more thoroughly. They should have given us more of the different worlds view.
They
Um,
should have done that.
they should have separated the characters a little bit more. So, like co-op puzzle games,
Yeah,
Portal 2 does a
yeah.
really great job of like you have to work together in this really cohesive, creative kind of way. This game, it's more like I have to do my part and you have to do your part, and we just kind of have to wait for each other when those times come up.
Instead of it
And
doesn't feel
it
as
takes two
cohesive to
kind
you.
of lands in the middle,
Okay.
right? Like how much communication did you have to do with Sydney on the puzzles? I'm sure there was a lot of telling her answers, like, hey, I need you to do this so I can do that. But how much was cooperative puzzle solving actually happening in this game?
I think there was quite a bit of that, but there was also quite a bit of just Sid, you need to do this, and I is that way I can do this part. There was quite a bit of that too.
I found none. I have no memory of Lauren and I saying like, okay, how do we do this? Let's look at the like, how do we piece this together cohesively?
Was that because of you or was that because of the game itself? Because the times where I just kind of like figured out the puzzle and I'm like, Sid, I need you here. I need you, especially like the block part where you're hitting the blocks and you're going through the maze to be able to slide the block through. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yes,
Yeah, that part I was just like, Sid, go here, hit there. Go here, hit there. And she didn't really know how to solve the puzzle. I just told her how to do it. Um,
that was one of the parts that was meant to be like cohesive though. You had to work together on it, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Most of the game is I am the sucky red dragon and she's the cool blue dragon who's way faster than mine, so she ends up way ahead on screen, which is just a dumb design choice. Uh, and I have to do my parts, and she does her parts, and there's no cohesion. She has to wait for me to do my parts, so she like
So it feels like two separate games that just happen to put up roadblocks for the other person instead of a cohesive whole.
Yeah. Like, let's
Okay.
take that supernova thing, right?
Yeah.
There was parts of that that was clearly meant for two people to do that I was able to do by myself. And then there was this like I have to sit and wait at the screen for her to catch up.
What about the part of that supernova where you have the blast shield? Because that one we absolutely had to talk. I had to be like, okay, okay, you're gonna say go. I'm gonna say go. You're gonna say go. I'm gonna say go. That way we
I
can get
just
all the way to
said
the end.
me first,
And
and
that was it.
that was it.
And then you
And
just went boom,
only
boom,
at
boom,
the
boom, boom.
end, the first part of it where you got the shields, we did individually.
Okay. Man, your experience with this game was very different from mine. Very
And
different.
like that's totally fine. I like it's
Huh.
totally okay to have different experiences with this kind of a game. It's just like at the end of the day, right? Big picture. Plots
Yeah.
have issue. Characters have issue. Individual plots and storylines and things kind of disturbing and like no. Who do I recommend this game to? Nobody because even like co-op fans, I'd still go It Takes Two, uh Portal 2, Halo co-op, right? Like there's still a number of options I would jump to. And it's fine. It's better than mediocre, right? It's not the worst game in the world. I know I'm fairly negative to it, but it's like I feel like I should have given these developers another year
Okay.
because if they took a year and they added a lot more of that different worlds at the same time stuff, man, that would shoot this game up. And like, hey, let's not make the pig so traumatizing and like let's not make all of her stuff so disturbing. Let's tone down the disturb. I get that like you can have some. Like if the centipedes was the only disturbing thing in the game, I wouldn't have as big of an issue with it. But it was like the cherry on top of the disturbing cake that is carrot cake with carrots and no sugar.
All right.
Right? If you got that at birthday, you'd be like, what the crap is this mush? Right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to recommend. It was fun. I'm glad I played it personally, but am I gonna go back and play this game? No. There was no part of me that was like, oh, I want to see what that's like from the other characters' points of view, or I wonder what's different if we did this decision, or hey, I wish it was what it would be like to do this with Conlon. None of that. So
I had
replayability is like none.
I like It Takes Two better. I like the world. I like the characters. I like all of it better. There's a couple puzzles in this one that I did enjoy maybe a little bit more. Um, but because I liked the puzzles and I did like the gameplay, I'm apt to play this one again from opposite characters. I would do
Why?
that in this one
What are you gonna
because
gain from it?
the abilities are very, very, very different, and I think it'd be fun.
Okay. The only one I wanted the other one to is the dragons, and that's because the blue dragon is clearly cool, and the red dragon clearly sucks.
Oh, I like the Red Dragon.
Its art design isn't as good. Its power is it glides, whereas the other one is like I climb onto walls and I roll and smash into things, and I do like
Yeah, but you literally have a dragon's breath and you melt shit.
sort of sometimes like,
That's pretty cool.
and you have to play through a little over half of the dragon stuff to get that power.
That's true. Otherwise, you're just floating from one place to another.
Yeah, so it's just not their strongest game. Like you came out of it and you're like, whatever they make next, I'm gonna
Yeah,
buy.
I would. I really, really enjoyed this game a lot. A lot, a lot. I'm sorry you didn't.
And I'm coming out of this like I would give it a strong look. Like there's a high likelihood I would get what they get do next.
Yeah.
Because like who am I to say this game speaks for their entire company in terms of like totality? Because I feel like it was rushed after It Takes Two. I feel like it was kind of weak in some areas. But at the end of the day, It Takes Two, if you take out the whole parenting stuff and that the male has to do all of the things and the girl just has to accept it and that kind of stuff, like It Takes Two is still a really cool project and it feels like
Yeah.
a whole world and all of the mini games and all of that kind of stuff. And getting to see the different points of view actually kind of matters in that game. And A Way Out is a ton of fun. And even though we had issues with brothers, right? Like I still think we were both pretty happy we played it.
Yes, I'm happy I played that one, even though Brothers I find to be kind of a meh game. That one I do think is meh.
Right, but that was their earlier attempt, right? They made
Yeah.
Brothers, and then years later, we got to A Way Out and whatever games were in between, and now It Takes Two, and now it right. Like
Yeah.
of those four games, all of them are better than fives.
Yeah.
All of them are better than mediocre, right? To different degrees, right? Like I whatever they make next, it's probably gonna be pretty good, if not great. Here's my this is like I hope that Zen Studios makes a pinball table for Split Fiction
That'd be sweet.
for Pinball FX3 because that is a great idea and I would have a ton of fun with that with the fantasy and the sci-fi and the crossover and there's so many things they could do with it.
That'd be cool. That'd be very cool.
And if that happens, that that would make this game even better because it created this other thing that I
Cool.
love. I didn't love it, had some great moments, had some phenomenal moments, had some extraordinary puzzles, had a lot of disturbing things, had some frustration, and even though it's couch co op, I don't feel like there is much co op going on.
Fair enough, man. It's a good thought out review. I like it.
All right, that being said, let's jump on over to our shared topic Primal Hunter 5.
Yes. What are your thoughts?
It's good. They've kept it up.
Okay.
It's still good. I love the treasure hunt. I love the way that the treasure hunt all works. I love that they didn't spend too much time outside the treasure hunt. I love the bet between him and the other guy. I love the vampire fights. All of them were so good. It was absolutely the kind of reaction that somebody in this world would have, right? Because he's like, oh, this is so cliche, right? Whereas a lot
Yeah.
of people who weren't in like gaming wouldn't react because they couldn't predict it or see it coming. But somebody like this guy who's min maxing and has all this other stuff, he's like, oh, this is so cliche. Can you just shut up already? You know, I love that. I love the fights between and the interactions of all the characters. I love the Sylphie parts. We got to know Carmen a lot better, and she is awesome. Like was hoping she would be. Sylphie and Carmen teaming up is a great combination. It's awesome. Uh, I didn't love the very last fight as
Oh,
much,
dang it. That's my
but the
favorite.
final vampire fight was awesome. I just didn't like him and the sword guy fighting it out because it was a lot more anime inner dialogue kind of stuff. And it like had this moment like in The Princess Bride where he's like, I've got something to tell you. I'm not left handed. And he's like, I've got something to tell you. I'm not left handed either. And I was like, oh wow, I'm shocked by this news.
Crazy. Who would
Wow.
have guessed?
Ooh,
Whoa.
insane. And I was like, okay, come on, like move on with it. I found parts of it a little annoying because Jake is
Okay.
supposed to be like the first, what is it, D class
Oh
in
yeah, yeah.
on Earth, and then there's this guy who's like, yeah, I can see sparks, and now I'm immortal. I didn't like that. Like,
Didn't like the Aaron thing.
no, because it's like you've got this universe with these rules, and I get that bloodlines change the rules or ignore
Yeah,
the rules, but having one of those rules be I can never die kind of feels stupid.
I like the character because he's has things that he can die from, and he uses his bloodline in unique ways to try to not die. Like his goal is to figure out how to be unkillable. Like he wants to do that, and then he wants to pass that unkillableness on to other normal people, which is it's. I think it's a cool character.
Except it's like stupid in the system of the game.
But
It's not rock paper scissors. It's rock paper scissors lizard wizard Spock lasers guns fire acid inferno
yeah, and he's
celestial poison acid all of these things, and it's like, and I am susceptible to one thing, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
he's susceptible to more things than that, but he's trying to get to where he's not. Like he's figuring out defenses for all of these different things using his bloodline. I think it's a cool thing. He's like the
I
ultimate defensive
don't
guy
think it's a
who
cool thing.
can't do any offensive anything. He just sucks at offense.
Yeah, because if he did offense, you'd be like, wow, this character, like instead of his character ability being dumb, it's super dumb and OP.
That's true.
Right? I'm not saying it's overpowered. I'm saying it's dumb.
Okay.
Right?
Uh,
It would be overpowered if he had some offensive abilities, but they do balance it by saying, oh, he can just take damage
he can just take
and he
damage.
heals
I can
people.
heal.
Yeah,
Like
like
that's his whole thing.
that's fine. But it's dumb that his whole thing is like, yeah, you can destroy me down to the very last atom, but it's so long as I have a little spark of life,
Of soul.
I'll survive. I think that part's dumb. Like, I would be
Yeah.
way more compelled with this character if it's the same spark, but he can't lose his own, right?
Can't lose his what?
His own,
Oh, okay.
right? Let's say he could revive people as long as their spark was still there. But him reviving himself because his spark still exists, I find dumb, right? That's where I'm like, okay, that is so dumb.
Okay.
So dumb, right? If he had no offensive abilities and he couldn't get hurt himself, but he was like this god of bringing people back to life who were on the brink of death, if not completely obliterated into nothing like he was, I'd be like, okay, this is really interesting. This is really cool. Um, Having him have the same quest, and like, I want to learn to so that I can do even
Make people
more,
immortal.
and that I could do this for myself, and that I could teach other people. Right? That would be really cool. But he can just be a spark and revive himself.
As long as the soul isn't damaged or his mind isn't completely destroyed, he can heal his body all he wants.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, okay,
Fair enough.
this just a little over the line and kind of is dumb to me. Like,
Okay.
I wish there was more of a balancing act to this, and a lot more interest. But like, it doesn't ruin the game, the book for me.
Hmm.
Like in terms of plot and writing, it actually serves a very good purpose and is very effective at stopping Jake from getting the last key he needs. Um, and is not such a big part of it that it also uses, and then Jake uses it to his benefit in the later last vampire fight, which was very cool, very clever. Um, I just I hope that that ability is not a prominent thing going forward, because the dumbness of it is going to continue to irritate me more and more as it goes on.
He's still in the books later on. He's not. I, he's in it every once in a while, is what I'll say.
He can be in it. It's just like if they're abusing his ability like they
I
should,
don't think so. No.
that then it would be like, okay, this is stupid. Because what do you have now? You have a tank that can go out there and take any hit from anything at any point in time, and they're never gonna die. And so everybody should go into this fight, into any big fight with Aaron and Jake. And then you have one guy to be up close and take all the damage, and one guy to do absurd damage from a distance. That's why every big fight in this universe should go forward
The
like that.
next time that they use him on a major fight, the enemy just figures out a way to basically throw Aaron away. He throws him miles and miles away because he knows that he can't kill that guy, so he just gets him out of there, which is
Well,
not
that's
a
what
bad
the
way to
vampire
do it.
did. He knocked him unconscious.
Yeah, same kind of idea
But like that's how dumb this idea is it's like that the writer has to come up with these ways
to get
to
rid of
get
him
rid of the character rather than counter the character, which is what I think my problem
because
with
the
it is.
counter to the character is that he's not there.
Yeah, that's dumb,
Fair enough.
right? So I still really liked it. I didn't love this one. I don't think quite as much as some of the other books, but it's still really good. I'm still excited about book 6.
I love this one. I love this book. I love the Vampire Land. Um, I love the way that he describes the curse, and that is used later on in a really cool way. But I like the way that it's described. I like the history of the land. I like how you're wondering if it's a real thing or is it fake? Like, was this just system created or was this pulled from somewhere? That mystery aspect I think is really good. The vampire fights are awesome. I really like the part where he gets the reward and they go and tell him basically it's just monologuing for the audience on what the history of this land is. And he's just sitting there like, holy shit, he's still talking. He's still talking. And he gets to the end where he's supposed to find out about the treasure. And the guy just pauses. And the guy's like, are you freaking kidding me? You're not even going to tell me about the treasure, you stupid. And he starts talking. I thought that was funny. I love the Sylphie stuff. All of it, I think, is really well done. The vampire fight's really good. And then for me, I love the Sword Saint fight. I love it. I think the abilities that are on display are really cool. I love two people that are on opposite sides, like building each other up, pushing each other. I think it's really cool. I love how they both level up. And there is an anime esque aspect to it, but they both just want the best of the other person. And that increases both of their skills exponentially because they're that competition, they're that fight, there's that build up. I think it's really cool. Like I genuinely love it. I loved it this time when I reread the book too. There's a lot in this book that I think is really good. I love the how he uses the sword, the curse sword, to stab Aaron, and it feeds on Aaron, create making the sword stronger. That is used later on. It's really cool. Um, I liked seeing the rest of the group. I liked them all fighting together for the main vampire. I liked the use of the moon again because it's a theme inside of the book series that I'm not completely sure on how they're. It's an interesting aspect of the book. I like the blood moon. I like the way that it pulls blood from everybody. I like just a lot of aspects of this book. I think it's really good. It's one of my favorite of the series, actually. I really like this book.
It's very good. I've got no big like plot issues with it. You're absolutely right about everything you just said. I love the
Yeah.
AI thing. I love that when he gets to the second one, he's relieved that it's not just an interactive one again. Um,
Yeah. I like the connection to the Malefic Order and how Jake, who is this chosen, doesn't even really know anything about the Order, so just has to bullshit the entire time. I like how he runs into that C grade vampire and he totally just bullshits her and gets all the loot and leaves. I love that part. I like how the Risen are trying to build this alternate dungeon created along the same lines as this world. I wish we knew more about how the Risen knew all of this information about the world that they're going to, because they shouldn't have by every metric that I can see. But I think it's cool what they're trying to do with that. I it's just yeah, I just like it.
it's good. It's a good book. It's great. Very enjoyable. It's a lot more Primal Hunter in a very good way.
Yeah, it is. Just keeps
Yeah,
going, man. Just
yeah.
keeps going.
I
Well,
my favorite part of this book, honestly,
yeah.
was when the author makes fun of himself. That was my favorite.
Which part is that?
When he kills the other Jake because having two Jakes in the same room would be a ridiculous thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. That part's great.
And then I was sitting there like, but you still have the other Jake. You didn't solve the
You
problem
still
at
have
all.
the other Jacob, and you can't really get rid of that character because he's kind of important.
Yeah. I like that you made fun of yourself. I love that you created an entire like 3 chapters dedicated to this one punchline, which is you making fun of yourself for naming your two main characters both Jake.
I liked that too. I didn't even talk about this, but the puzzle with the Rubik's cube I think is really cool, and the whole Jake just going full primal ape shit when he at the very end against all the common people that are trying to steal from him. Very cool. Just there's a lot. I love this book.
A lot of really good stuff. Excited to see where the story goes.
Besides what? Oh, excited to see where the story goes.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm excited to see what you think about where the story goes because it just keeps getting more and more awesome. I'm on book 13, and the chapter that just released is insane. Like it's so cool.
Well, we will see when we get there.
We will.
And with that, we're going to wrap up this episode. Thank you, anybody, for watching, listening. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share with your friends. We're trying to grow, trying to make this um, even better. Any suggestions would be very helpful. Thanks.